I've been misunderstood when it comes to women. I've got a big heart and a little brain. But I love women being women. There's something about their skin. I do love strong, independent women, but they are definitely complicated. Few developments central to the history of art have been so misrepresented or misunderstood as the brief, brave, glorious, doomed life of the Bauhaus, the epocally influential German art, architecture, crafts, and design school that was founded in Goethe's sleepy hometown of Weimar in 1919. When I did Baby Got Back, that was just a reflection of the African American community. We've always liked curves, and a lot of people misunderstood it because, let's face it, 20 years prior to Baby Got Back, the only images you saw of a black woman on television were she was probably 300 pounds and cleaning the house with a rag on her head. The idea that feeling confident and feeling misunderstood are mutually exclusive really bugs me. The American dream is a term that is often used but also often misunderstood. It isn't really about becoming rich or famous. It is about things much simpler and more fundamental than that. There is in every madman a misunderstood genius whose idea, shining in his head, frightened people, and for whom delirium was the only solution to the strangulation that life had prepared for him. The ugly duckling is a misunderstood universal myth. It's not about turning into a blonde Barbie doll or becoming what you dream of being. It's about self-revelation, becoming who you are. Sometimes our passion will motivate us to say things that can easily be misunderstood. I'm a big fan of the misunderstood, the vilified, the underdog, the breaking of myths. I like being misunderstood. My favorite thing about New York is the people, because I think they're misunderstood. I don't think people realize how kind New York people are. Religious liberty is misunderstood. It simply means that the founders said that everyone in America should have the freedom to practice and exercise their religion. Not to believe it but to exercise our beliefs, to act on our beliefs. It's not about believing privately in your head, privately in that building, or simply about freedom of worship. I think that Scottish people, like Canadians, are often misunderstood, and what I like about my Scottish friends and relatives is how quickly it can go from love to anger. It's a great dynamic. Anyone who agrees to be interviewed must decide where to draw the line between what is public and what is private. But the line can shift, depending on who is asking the questions. What puts someone on guard isn't necessarily the fear of being found out. It sometimes is just the fear of being misunderstood. Black Messiah is a hell of a name for an album. It can easily be misunderstood. Many will think it's about religion. Some will jump to the conclusion that I'm calling myself a Black Messiah. For me, the title is about all of us. It's about the world. It's about an idea we can all aspire to. We should all aspire to be a Black Messiah. I have nothing to explain. As for being misunderstood, I have grown accustomed to that. Making games look more photorealistic is not the only means of improving the game experience. I know, on this point, I risk being misunderstood, so remember, I am a man who once programmed a baseball game with no baseball players. If anyone appreciates graphics, it's me. Natural Born Killers is really a misunderstood romantic comedy. Just feeling misunderstood sometimes, I guess, has been my biggest downfall. I love my mom. My mom loves me. We don't have an easy relationship. I don't think we ever will, but I'd rather have a complicated, misunderstood relationship than have no relationship at all. Being misunderstood by people whose opinions you value is absolutely the most painful. Everyone has a side to them that's kind of unexplained and feels misunderstood. I have suffered from being misunderstood, but I would have suffered a hell of a lot more if I had been understood. I sort of enjoy the fact that I'm misunderstood most of the time. That's fine. Scientology is probably one of the most misunderstood things, and it's sad that it's so misunderstood. I think I'm pretty misunderstood, because I'm not just about football. No event in American history is more misunderstood than the Vietnam War. It was misreported then, and it is misremembered now. Life is all about evolution. What looks like a mistake to others has been a milestone in my life. Even if people have betrayed me, even if my heart was broken, even if people misunderstood or judged me, I have learned from these incidents. We are human and we make mistakes, but learning from them is what makes the difference. It is impossible to speak in such a way that you cannot be misunderstood. My two little twin brothers have autism, so I grew up around it and misunderstood it for a long time. Songs are my diaries, they always have been. You have to put your trust in everyone because putting down those real, personal details and thoughts that make a song authentic also opens you right up. I am constantly misunderstood, a lot of people just don't get me. I have come to believe over and over again that what is most important to me must be spoken, made verbal and shared, even at the risk of having it bruised or misunderstood. People look at me weird because I'm a Howard Stern fan, but he's very misunderstood. It's the first thing I do when I get in my car at a tournament, just pray that I get Howard 100 on Sirius or XM. Magical realism allows an artist like myself to inject layers of meaning without being obvious. In American culture, where there is freedom of expression, this approach may seem forced, unnecessary and misunderstood, but this system of communication has become very Iranian. The really good idea is always traceable back quite a long way, often to a not very good idea which sparked off another idea that was only slightly better, which somebody else misunderstood in such a way that they then said something which was really rather interesting. I've always felt really misunderstood because I got a lot of energy, and I never conformed to a certain path. No one would talk much in society if they knew how often they misunderstood others. Climate change is sometimes misunderstood as being about changes in the weather. In reality it is about changes in our very way of life. I loved Debussy, Stravinsky, Chopin, Tchaikovsky, anything with romantic melodies, especially the nocturnes. Nietzsche was a hero, especially with Thus Spoke Zarathustra. He gets a bad rap, he's very misunderstood. He's a maker of individuals, and he was a teacher of teachers. I love revolutionaries who have the courage to stand up against the status quo. They're always misunderstood, but they're the ones who are standing up for human rights. If I turn out to be particularly clear, you've probably misunderstood what I've said. I believe that people should take pride in what they do, even if it is scorned or misunderstood by the public at large. Form follows function, that has been misunderstood. Form and function should be one, joined in a spiritual union. The criminal defense attorney is misunderstood if not despised by most of society. It doesn't matter if we believe in our adversarial system and the ideal that everyone charged with a crime is entitled to a vigorous defense. Ideals give way to reality, defense lawyers working loopholes and angles to get their clients off. Forgiveness really is so misunderstood, as well as the power it can release in an individual. More has been screwed up on the battlefield and misunderstood in the Pentagon because of a lack of understanding of the English language than any other single factor. My extreme characters are in a state of rebellion or who are being ostracized or being misunderstood, or misfits or trying to fit in and fighting for their rights to love, live, and coexist. They sort of mirror my own demons. I've seen zero evidence of any nation on earth other than Mexico even remotely having the slightest clue what Mexican food is about or even come close to reproducing it. It is perhaps the most misunderstood country and cuisine on earth. I guess I should warn you, if I turn out to be particularly clear, you've probably misunderstood what I've said. If I do something I think is new, it will be misunderstood, but if people like it, I will be disappointed because I haven't pushed them enough. The more people hate it, maybe the newer it is. Because the fundamental human problem is that people are afraid of change. Visit our website for more quotes, quoting.com.